Okay. Hello, welcome everyone. Episode 8 of the podcast. We're going to be talking about a couple of recent games and talking about some news and all of that as we usually do. Today it's just me and Mang. Jimmy cannot be here with us today due to work, but we hope that you'll join us in our next episode of the pod. So for our first section, we're just going to talk about some interesting news going on around the league. The first point was the trade offer for Jimmy Butler, reported by Wojnarowski, that included 4 first rounders and salary filler for Jimmy Butler, and also yeah. So we were pretty much like, so I guess we can discuss a little bit what what exactly do we think that trade is worth it, or what do you think Houston's getting out of that, and why is Houston going all out like that? Any thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I guess I'll first start off with the Houston side. Why they're doing it? They're desperate to win, and that Chris Paul contract, it's going to be bad soon. So,
Hmm.
uh, they're paying a premium for the fourth and fifth year of the contract for his first, second, third year of the contract. So if they get Butler now, it's become sort of worth it. And if they get Butler, they also get his bird right, so they can re-sign him for the max, and then they can keep a core of Harden, Butler, and Paul.
Yeah,
Because that's what they're really
yeah, that tax
after.
that
But
tax is gonna get pretty interesting though.
well, if
I
the
get
new owner is willing to
yeah.
play
I
it.
mean, yeah. If you can if you can hang up a banner, then I guess that's worth a lot of tax to them. So
Yeah.
personally, yeah, I kind of see where Houston's trying to go with this. It's just that you kind of balk at the idea of trading 4 first rounders because that didn't really work out the last time it happened when some aging star got traded. So like, but if you think you can get Butler now, Butler would help the defense a lot, which the defense seems to be a lot worse right now. Despite even without the injuries, like the defense just has not been what it was last year, and the team
Well,
clearly what?
their weakness is in small forward. So if they get Butler, all of a sudden that weakness is gone.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Um, yeah. So for the first rounders, it's like um, and apparently Wojnarowski also reported that like the protections wouldn't be too crazy on those. They can't really be because they have to convey within like a 7 year span, I believe. So if the protections aren't too crazy, then I mean it seems like a pretty good haul for Minnesota, and Houston's giving up a lot. But if you think you can get Butler and like win a championship within like the next few years with the Harden, Butler, Chris Paul core, and you think it's worth a bunch of tax, then like why not do it? You're probably going to be bad in like 2023 whenever like the third or fourth pick starts to be a thing. So you're probably going to be pretty bad then, and like maybe you'll regret not having your picks, but at least you hung up a banner, maybe. So it could be worth the chance. It could be worth the risk. Viewing it more long term, maybe it's not. But right now, if you're really trying to win now, then hey, why not, right? In terms of the
Well,
filler, what?
let's go. Let's continue with that. Now or never. If I were Minnesota, I'd make this trade because this trade is reminding me of the Nets and Celtics trade.
Yeah, I just don't get why Minnesota hasn't already taken this like right now.
Just take away all the protections, and then I'd do that because in in 2023, I don't know, that could be the number one pick, and
Eh,
Cat will still be young.
I assume it's probably gonna though that pick would probably be like top 10 protected at the very like
That's why get rid of all the protections.
eh, yeah. mm, yeah. I'd probably maybe gamble with like top 4 or 5 protected on like a 2023 pick is what I would attempt to do.
I mean, if Houston really wants Butler, then just say get rid of all the protections,
Yeah, I guess you have a
or make
point.
make two of them like top two protected or something.
Now, do you think Eric Gordon would be included in this trade? Because apparently Minnesota wants to like also try to make the playoffs. I don't know if they're gonna do that by trading Butler into the within the West when they haven't played any games against the Rockets yet, and also um if they get like Eric, and also if they get like just like Brandon Knight and Nene, then they're not really gonna help him like compete now. So like, do you think they're gonna try and get Eric Gordon, or does it not really matter, or what?
Well, I think they're gonna try, but I think if I were Minnesota, I'd look not this year. Well, if I'm Tibbs, I'll look this year. But the four first rounds with no protection, that could be something 8 years
Mm,
from now.
yeah. And yeah, either they're gonna have to give up like Eric Gordon and then a little bit of filler, or on October 31st, a couple of days from now, Brandon Knight can be traded. So maybe something will pop up on October 31st. I'm very curious to see what happens on the 31st, if anything happens. Okay, so that's enough about Butler. Cleveland Cavaliers fired Tyronn Lue after an 0-6 start. Um, personally, I think that this was, I think it was like a little bit soon. I don't know. I'm not sure what the organization was trying to do, like getting rid of Tyronn Lue now. I think Tyronn Lue at least deserved the benefit of the doubt for like a season, and
Yeah,
maybe,
he
yeah.
deserved a season.
I mean,
Like,
the guy took you to like, and I'll just do another podcast that kind of mentioned this. He was like the guy took you to like four straight finals, outcoached Steve
yeah,
Kerr in 2016. And now when LeBron James leaves, you're surprised that you're this bad, which definitely does not, which certainly does not have any historical precedent whatsoever. Of course it doesn't. And you're not even going to give this guy like a half season or a three-fourths of a season to try and work things out. Like it just seems like really soon to me, like a really knee-jerk reaction, and I'm not really a huge fan of it. I think I definitely think like Cleveland at least owed Lou like one season to try and like prove that he can do something with these guys. There was that whole contention with him playing like the veterans over the young guys, but I don't really have a problem with making young guys earn the starting spot because I think that kind of
well,
drives them to be better a little bit. But what opinions do you have on this, May?
they want to make the playoffs, and that's a bit.
Far fetched
It
at this
shouldn't.
point.
It's far fetched. Like, and Kevin Love, he's injured now, so both you're done with Tyron Lowe and Kevin Love for at least a month, which
Yeah,
I think that toe injury will happen. I think he's just gonna play less games this season. I think they should just tank if that's not what they want to do. And shout out to Pat Riley. He stuck with Eric Spoelstra for all these years.
yeah, for sure. Um, another thing, Kevin Durant says he's after the money in free agency. What did he mean by this? I think mainly, I don't know. I'm still not convinced he's 100% gone from the Warriors personally. I just think that if the Warriors like lowball, the Warriors can't lowball him. Like they're not going to. They're gonna give the Warriors are gonna give him max surely, right? And
They
then
have to.
yeah, they have to. And then he's gonna like they know they can't ask him to take pay cuts anymore or take like a $10 million pay cut like he did in like 2017. But I think he'll look at places to see what he can get. Personally, I'm of the Kevin Durant wants to replicate LeBron James's career school of theory. So I think most likely he's probably gone, but I'm not 100% convinced that he is. He's gonna get maxes from like everywhere, so he can go play in
Eh,
LA, he can go play
Yeah,
in New York, he can go wherever the heck he wants to go. So I'm still
yeah.
not really sure what to think, even after he said this. What about you?
He said after the money, so it may not just mean the contract. So New York is the one that's talked about the most. We know that if he's in New York, this will just bring in a lot of money for him,
Hmm.
or so that could happen. Or there's a lot of KD to LA would pair him up with LeBron. You know, that could also happen
I still think that like
if he wants money.
if he wants to replicate LeBron's career, I think he's gonna go try and save a team somewhere.
So he has to
Um,
go to New York.
or
If he wants to,
Washington. No, no, I'm kidding. But anyway, yeah, no, New York. Probably sounds most likely if he's trying to replicate LeBron's career. So I don't know. Let's watch out for that. And we all heard that Zach Lowe pod where he was talking with Rachel Nichols and they talk about like KD in New York and stuff. So
Yeah,
people don't just talk about that stuff for no reason. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. And I wanted to dedicate a little bit of time to Stephen Curry in general. He's pretty good at basketball. He's just okay though.
it's on
He's
fire.
yeah. The dude's been unbelievable. Like
It's
that.
like he's playing like an NBA Jam where the ball's
Yeah,
always flying.
it's like he's playing a video game when he goes out there. Like it's just unreal. Shoot, man, like this is the best. It's probably the best he's played since like 2016. Honestly, it
Yeah.
almost feels like that, right?
I hope this time he gets an NBA Finals MVP.
Yeah, he's playing like he wants a Finals MVP, but he just can't throw up like stinkers like he did in Game 3 of last year. But so far, the guy has been absolutely excellent. Right now, he's hitting on 51.7% of his threes, shooting 12.7 of them a game, which is just unbelievable. Small sample size, 7 game sample size, but still, that's incredible. Um, yeah, man. He could definitely be in the MVP conversation too. Like, despite the team that he's on, like he could definitely be there if he keeps putting up numbers like this. Dude just looks incredible. Um, yeah, what's his true shooting right now? Like, it's gotta be. Let me look at his true shooting. His true shooting right now is 70.9%. Wow. Anyway, Stephen Curry's really good at basketball. All of you know this. He's breaking records. The guy has just been completely insane. I really hope that he can play a lot of games this year. Last year he only played like what? He only played 51 games. So you hope that he can get that up to like at least 65. I assume Steve Kerr, as he should, will try to rest him a good bit just to keep him fresh for the playoffs. And there's no reason for the Warriors at all to strain over the regular season. So I hope that he can play like 65 at least. I don't think he's gonna play. He's not gonna come. I don't think he's gonna play 70 personally, because I think he's gonna have like little nagging injuries that come up, and then the fact that the Warriors just like need him to rest a good bit so he can be fresh, because the regular season for the Warriors starts in April, if we're being completely honest. So yeah, any thoughts on Curry being really good, man?
No, he's just really good.
Yeah, that's
No,
about all we
not
need to
much to
say there.
think.
That's about all we need to say there. All right, moving on. So next part is the rocky start section. And so for each of these teams, we're gonna talk about some teams that have had a rocky start, which is definitely a few of them. And and by rocky starts, I mean like ones that have just been like compared to what we expected from them. So we're gonna give about like a 1 to 5 worry rating on each of them, and 1 being the least, which is gonna be nothing to bat an eye at. They'll progress what we expected them to be. 2 will be they might disappoint a little bit, but they'll still be pretty dang good. 3 would be okay, we might have a real problem here. 4 is okay, we definitely have a real problem here and it needs addressing. And 5 is it's 100% time to panic. So let's go down some of these teams. So the Rockets are 1-4 right now. Mang, worry rating.
Worry rating. I want to say 3, but it might be a 2. Here's the thing: they haven't had Chris Paul for 2 games.
Right.
But their only win was against the Lakers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. They only had they had 2 games without Chris Paul. Their their roster is a bit weird right now, but yeah, I'm gonna go straight up with the 3 because even though they didn't have Chris Paul for 2 games, they should have had at least one of those games without him. Let's see, they lost to the Clippers. They shouldn't have lost to the Clippers. They lost it
They
by
got destroyed by the
just 3 more.
Clippers.
Um, they lost to the Jazz. That's okay. The Jazz are a good team. Look, okay. Here's the thing: they scored only 89 points against the Jazz. For Houston to be a so-called top offense in the league, they shouldn't have scored as few points. And also, they lost to the Clippers again. They got destroyed by the Clippers. This should not happen.
I agree. I'd say my worry rating for them is probably about a 2.5, somewhere between 2 and 3. Just because I think there might be a real problem in terms of I don't think I think it's safe enough at this point to say they're not the same team from last year that was just blowing every team out left and right and winning 60 plus games. I think they're going to be a little bit disappointing in terms of people saying that they were around the same team from last year. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm not even sure they're going to win 60, honestly. And um, I mean, they're still going to be pretty good. They're going to have home court in the playoffs, but I'm not sure they're going to win 60 games. Not sure of that at all. And two, I just think that also like you guys remember that like they lost their defensive coordinator Jeff Bizdelic, right? They lost that guy, and that might be showing a little bit too, you know?
Yeah, might.
Yeah. So I
And
mean,
also, the whatever they had last season, a lot of it was James Harden, and it doesn't look like James Harden will have that kind of season again.
yeah, maybe not. Um. Anyway, that's enough time on the Rockets. The Thunder are 1-4. Mang panic rating.
4.
Yeah, I'd agree with 4. Explain.
Well, they still don't have Andre Robertson, so is he really that important to this team? They're unable to score. They're losing against the. They lost against the Kings with
Oh
Westbrook.
yeah, they got torched by
And
Amon Shumpert.
you cannot play like this. You just can't. And they yeah, I think that their head coach, whatever, who was their
Billy
coach again? I
Donovan.
forget. Yeah, I keep mixing his name up with Fred Hoiberg. Yeah, he's shown not to be good. Westbrook needs to set his priorities straight, and I don't know what they should do, but they're not gonna keep winning like this.
Yeah, I generally agree with all of what you said. And I also just think that, like, I watched that Boston game, and that was just not a good look for them. They were up big on Boston, and they let Al Horford hit 3 straight threes at bottom and back into it. And they just lost in clutch time. Like, Russell Westbrook just took some horrible shots to try and bring the Thunder back into it, but it just was not working. And I think that blowing that lead against Boston at home was not a good look at all. I'm also very worried about their shooting. I don't think they have a lot of reliable shooting outside of like Paul George and Alex Abrinas, I guess. Um, I don't know, man. And Billy Donovan starting Terrence Ferguson for like 2 or 3 games straight is just silly to me. Like the guy was like not good, and he should have went to Hamidou Diallo later. He's been looking pretty good, but I don't know. I'd say there's definitely some concerns with the Thunder. I'm not that sure they're gonna get home court in the playoffs now. They might put it together later. Um, I don't know how good they're gonna be with Andre Roberson comes back, but I don't know, man. They just have exhibited a lot of problems. They got their one win against the Phoenix Suns at home, and even in that game, they let the Suns come back and get into it a little bit. So I don't know. Thunder have got some real problems that they're gonna have to address. Um, Next team, the Lakers are 2-4. Mang worry rating.
Um, okay, so we I should have asked this first. Are we doing it based on their expectations for the season?
I'd say yeah, based on expectations.
Then I will say 1 because it was kind of expected that they would start slow,
Yeah,
and
I'd agree with 1 as well.
if you like look at the fine details of it, like okay, they started off bad with the threes. Their defense was bad, but they picked that up in the past few games. So I think they're on a trajectory to do all right. And look, if Lonzo's really going to keep shooting like this, all the questions about this the roster they have is not set up for to optimize LeBron James. But if Lonzo keeps shooting like this, 5 with Lonzo, Hart,
It
Ingram,
makes
or
the team a
Kuzma,
lot better for sure.
yeah, they have shooting around LeBron now. So I think they'll be
And
they,
you listed Brandon Ingram there. I'm not sure about that one yet.
well, I said Ingram or Kuzma, so I think that Ingram can shoot, but he's just not asked to shoot at volume.
I,
So
I I just I just feel like I see him kind of shy away from threes a little bit too often.
he does he does need to bring up more 3 point attempts.
Yeah, but I mean, if he can like either slash in a productive way or just like cut or whatever, then I'm fine with like Kyle Kuzma, Josh Hart, and Lonzo taking all the 3 pointers. That's fine.
Yeah,
But yeah, about the Lakers, nothing to be concerned about with them. They were in all of the games that they have lost. They lost two against the Spurs, both which were extremely close. We're
yeah,
gonna
they
talk.
were
We're gonna
close.
talk about that OT thriller later on in the pod. And what were the other games they lost? They lost to the Rockets. They were very in that one too. And then they lost to who was it?
And another good team.
Yeah, it wasn't the Timberwolves. No, it wasn't the
No,
Timberwolves. It was the um. Now this is
it's the
bothering me.
Clippers.
It wasn't the Clippers. They haven't played the Clippers yet. This is bothering me now. Let me look at a list of teams. Okay, any team in the East? Nope. Any team in the West? Oh, the Blazers. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the Blazers they haven't lost a home opener since 2000,
Yeah,
and just the Portland is a tough place to play for the Lakers. They lose there more often than not
yeah, for sure.
historically.
Yeah, so nothing to worry about the Lakers. I've seen a lot of things to be encouraged by. Um, I've pretty much seen more things to be encouraged by than discouraged by outside of KCP, but we'll talk about that later. Um, the Wolves with Butler are 2-4. Mang panic waiting.
Um, five like they have like it's not a problem if they're just 2-4, but like the way they're 2-4, that's just weird. Like Cat not playing well. Even the speakers are saying that Cat doesn't look like he wants to play. It's just weird. It's, I think the longer they keep Butler there, the longer it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, he had like 2 points the other night against like the Raptors or something. Was it
He
against the
was sick.
Raptors or it was
I
some
think so,
game?
but
Yeah.
he was sick that game,
Oh, okay.
so
But
he played fewer minutes.
yeah, I really just don't know what understand. Yeah, I agree with it's time to panic for 5
I
rating,
mean, it's
but
better if they panic because I think Tibbs needs to be fired. Butler needs to be traded. They need to start over.
I just don't understand like what they think they're accomplishing by keeping Butler. Like obviously Tibbs doesn't want to let him go, but
Tibbs doesn't
and
want.
like he's a good player, but like he's not helping, but like he's not like transforming the team right now. And like the longer you keep him, the more Towns is gonna be like pissed off and unhappy with the team. So I just don't get it. Like I know that Butler is great, and like you'd rather like try to get like some some like Godfather haul for him, but Houston basically gave you that, and then you turned it down. So you obviously don't intend on trading him anytime soon. So like, what are you trying to accomplish here? Is that I'm trying to understand.
What Tibbs is trying. It's just Tibbs. It's not the whole Wolves organization. Tibbs is trying to keep his job, and to do that, he's both coach and the GM. So he thinks he needs better players, which he does, and a better player is Butler.
I
So
mean,
he's just trying to keep his job. It's
the
just like when the Pistons traded for Blake Griffin.
mm,
It was SVG. He knew he was in the hot seat, so he says like, okay, let's make a run for it. Get me Blake. Maybe I can do something. But no.
I see. Anyway, so we'll see how that fiasco pans out. Let's move on to the East. The Cavs are 0-6. Okay, it's time to panic. We already know why. We don't need to talk about that much. It's obviously very much time to panic for the Cavs. But anyway, um, the Wizards are 1-5. Mang panic rating.
For like they're already starting to talk shit to each other.
I'd give it a 5, honestly. I think the Wizards are a 5 panic rating right now.
The thing is, their players are still playing good. It's just their endless chemistry issues.
Yeah, and it just doesn't seem like they're like winning games. Like they're just not winning games like playing with each other, and they have yet to bring Dwight Howard back, who I assume is not going to make this any better. And they just lost. I don't know,
Well,
man.
actually, if it's five, does it mean that they have to fire Scott Brooks?
Will they? Their GM
They should.
doesn't seem like
Yeah,
the
he.
guy who makes doesn't seem like a guy who makes amazing decisions or anything.
They should. They should, but yeah, the GM may not. So maybe if I give it a five, the GM will hear this podcast and think and reevaluate his strategy.
Yeah, but I just don't think that it really just seems like excuse me. It really just doesn't seem like that the Wizards are gonna figure this out at all. They really should probably just like blow it up. I hate saying blow it up, but I just don't see what like I'm not even sure they're gonna make the playoffs at this point. That's how bad it is. Like the Hornets look a whole lot better than them, and that's not good. So I don't know, man. This Wizards team, it's not working out right now. The Sixers are 3-3. Mang panic rating.
One. I mean, is it that's yours? They played Boston the first game. Okay, they yes, their team is weird, but it was already weird. So I think they will be fine, but they're not winning a championship this year.
I'm gonna give it like a 2.1 because I think they're gonna be a little bit disappointing in terms of people who accepted them to be. I'm not even sure they're gonna be a home court team in the East now. Because
Hmm.
I think the Bucks, Raptors, Celtics are 100% better than them, and the Pacers might pass them up. So yeah, I don't know about that. So I don't know if they're going to be a home court team in the East this year. I think that the longer I'm not really sold on starting Markel Fultz next to Simmons and Embiid, especially against good teams. Um, I'm also just not sold on I don't know. I'm not sold on the improvements they made from last year. They kind of seem like a lot of the same team. So yeah, I think they're going to disappoint a little bit, but they still should still be pretty good. May not win 50 games, but they'll win like 47 or something like that, I guess.
Um, yeah, maybe not. I think they'll still win maybe around 50. They had, let's see, they played the Celtics, the Bulls, the Magic, Detroit, Milwaukee, and Charlotte. So they sort of had the 50-50 schedule. They lost against the better teams, I'd say.
Hmm.
So I think it's still too early to tell. But as far as like their structural problems, it shows that they need more shooting, and Fultz is still a question.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this Markel Fultz experiment. Okay. Um, I put in here the Celtics are 4-2, but they haven't looked great. Um, I'll give it a 1.5 in terms of how much we should worry about them.
I'll give it a one. Uh, their offense is a bit weird, but they're still executing. They're
The,
still playing good
the
defense.
the main reason I give it a 1.5 over a 1 is just because I'm worried about how much Kyrie and Gordon are gonna get better from like being back, you know, because neither of them have looked well. Gordon's looked okay, but Kyrie has looked pretty not so good so far. So I'm a bit worried about Kyrie. I'm not sure if he's gonna get back all the way to prime form. Could his best years be behind him? We'll have to see. So I'm slightly worried about Kyrie. So we'll just keep some tabs open on Kyrie. Okay, let's move on. The hot start section. We're gonna give a rating of 1 to 3 on all these teams that have had a hot start on how seriously we should take them. One rating will be look at this team's 12 or so game. Look at this team's record 12 or so games from now and try not to laugh. aka the 6-2 Magic from last season. Um, seriously, rating number two is there's something good happening here, but they'll end up progressing to what most people expected them to be. And hot start number three is this team is for real and can really contend for home court plus conference finals in the playoffs. So let's start with the 4-1 Denver Nuggets. How seriously should we take this team, man?
Two. Um, I think they still have some questions. Uh, a lot of it was Jokic just playing out of his mind, but the rest they still have weaknesses around different places.
Right.
So I don't think that they will be a whole. I'm not sure if they're like a top four team in the West still.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that either. I think can definitely still be there. I guess I'd give Denver like a yeah, like a two probably. It seems like they're defending pretty okay right now, but I have a bit of a fear that their defense will regress closer to the mean later. I don't think they're gonna stay a top 10 defense forever. Anyway, New Orleans Pelicans are 4-1. What is your seriously rating for this team, Manga?
I'm going with three. I'm on this bandwagon. I think they
Ooh,
could be the. I think they could be a top three team in the West.
ooh, I like it.
And AD, I think this has to be AD season. It's his time. He should try and become an MVP.
I'll give him a 2.6. I'm not ready to go all the way with three, but they do look pretty great right now, and they look like a very well-oiled machine. Julius Randle has been awesome. Just a great pickup for them. And AD looks like if AD can stay out of can stay healthy for most of the season for like I don't know like 6, 7 games or something like that, then hey man, this team can really go far. They can definitely I definitely think they're capable of getting home court in the playoffs. That's for sure. I'm not sure about conference finals yet, but they do look pretty awesome. So, yeah, I'll give like a 2.5, 2.6, something like that. Not fully on the bandwagon, but if the Spurs don't make the playoff, they'll probably be on the Pelicans bandwagon. Um, Milwaukee Bucks. Let's move on to the East. Milwaukee Bucks are 6-0. What's your seriously rating for this team, man?
Three. They changed the way they're playing. Chris Middleton is playing out of his mind. They're taking more trees. They're optimizing Giannis. I think they're a top team in the East now.
What's crazy is that Giannis and Chris Middleton are like in the 60s or something for minutes per game or something like that, which is crazy compared to last year.
Yeah.
They just look like a well-oiled machine. Um, shoot, man. Uh, let's say I'd give them heck. I'm gonna go with the three. I think the Bucks are for real now. I think they're gonna be a top four team in the East for sure. I think they could possibly be right there in the conference finals. I would absolutely love, 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 love to see a Raptors Bucks second round series or something like that. A rematch from a couple years ago with Giannis coming into his own and Kawhi now in the Raptors. I would love to see that matchup in the playoffs. That'd be fantastic. That would be a perfect like 1 seed, 4 seed type matchup to happen in the second round or a 2 seed, 3 seed type thing. Um, shoot, man, the Bucks just look great. They're gonna be really good
One
this season. Go ahead.
one warning though, they haven't played against great teams yet.
That's true. They do have a nice little
So,
test today against the Raptors, but Kawhi is not playing, unfortunately.
mm.
So, uh,
But they were undefeated in the preseason, if that really matters.
yeah. Um, I can look up real quick what their next real test is, but yeah, I really do think that the Bucks are gonna be great this year. And 55 wins, not out the realm of possibility at all. Let's see. They have a Okay, so they play the Raptors, and then they play the Celtics in Boston on November 1st, this Thursday. They play the Warriors next Thursday, so that'll be interesting. In California, so that'll be quite a game to see. Anyway, so yeah, I'm definitely on the bandwagon with this team. Uh, Shout out to my man Malcolm Brogdon from UVA, also killing it. Toronto Raptors 6-0. What's your series rating for this team, man?
3, they beat the Celtics. That's probably the biggest matchup they could play. Kawhi is legit, and they're really deep. I have them as the best team in the East right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him like a honorary 3.2. I'll give him a 4. They can go to the finals. I still think I'm still gonna choose to believe in the Celtics as the best team in the East when it comes to that time. 'Cause I think they should be there at that point. They're just off to a slow start, but the Raptors in the finals is definitely something I could see happening. Kawhi looks great. Dude's legit. Nick Nurse is doing a pretty good job so far. If Kawhi can stay healthy, not have nagging injury problems, then yeah, this team can go. This team can really do it. So yeah, that's that section. So we'll talk about a couple of games to close out things. First, talk about OKC and Boston. Westbrook in this game, very very interesting clutch game, but at the end by Russell Westbrook kind of forced up some bad shots when he wasn't shooting well. Um, I don't know. It's just kind of like a live by. It's kind of just like you live by the Westbrook, you die by the Westbrook. Like so, that's just kind of who he is. He took ownership for it. Sorry about that. He took ownership for the game at least, and yeah, they were really doing great against Boston up until like some point in the third where Al Horford hit like 3 straight threes, and then Boston just got back into it, and then Boston eventually just kind of like brought it home. Um, Team highest scorer for Boston, Jason Tatum. He's looked great this season. I really didn't want to pick him up in fantasy just because I thought his stats were going to drop off, but I was very clearly incorrect here. 24 points, 1 of 3 from 3, 7 out of 7 free throws made, um, 1 steal, 8 of 18 from the field. Yeah, Gordon Hayward with 5 points, Al Horford with 19 points, Marcus Morris hitting clutch shots for the Celtics as usual. I think he had a couple of big 3 pointers that he hit, and Marcus Morris looked great too. So, any thoughts on this one, man?
OKC played terribly. Paul George 7 out of 22. Westbrook 5 out of 20. That when that's what your two stars are doing, it's just terrible. It should have been even a surprise that they were ahead for any moment in this game with their stars playing that bad.
Yeah, that's true.
And this just shows that the Celtics also have troubles with scoring still.
Yeah, the Celtics offense does not look great. Kyrie this game, 6-13 from the field, which isn't awful, but he just looked like he was struggling at times. I did see him, Kyrie, have a couple of decent defensive possessions though, so that was all right to see. But Kyrie Irving I think he's definitely a long ways to go in terms of being the player that he was even just last year before he got hurt. So before he was declared out for the season, that is.
So with all these offensive woes of the Boston Celtics, is it to do with their personnel or is it just Brad Stevens is starting to show his holes in his system?
That's a very good question. I just think that like a lot of it, I don't think it's the personnel because the personnel can score. I just think that it's like I just think their offense has been. I think they've been kind of trying to I think it's been the struggles with integrating Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving back into it, and I think that it's been kind of having other players struggle a little bit as they're not able to get into the rhythm as much. I think Jaylen Brown's a very good example of this. Excuse me. I think Jaylen Brown's a very good example of this because He only got 8 shots in that game, hit one of them. 0 of 2 from three, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. Jaylen Brown did not play so well, and only got 23 minutes as well. Last year, Jaylen Brown would have gotten like 32 minutes in a game like this. So you just kind of see things like that. That some guys have to get fewer shots, and it's just not working out for some of them. Like I said, Jaylen Brown, great example. But yeah, I think it's. But long story short, I think it was just kind of. I think it's just been kind of troubles with integrating these guys who need the ball in their hands a lot into the offense. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, like Jalen Brown, like he really has struggled, but I don't think he's that important yet for this team.
Sure.
Um, I mean, he's still playing. Yeah, he only played 23 minutes that game,
Yeah.
and yeah, was overshadowed by say Marcus Morris or Terry
Mhm.
Rozier.
Yeah.
Uh, See, I think that you see the Boston Celtics they've been playing sort of the same way for the past 3 years, and it's surprisingly a lot more ISO heavy than you might think. They start a five out and then they make some pass and then they do some screens, but a lot of times they are relying on one player who's a really good scorer. It was first Isaiah Thomas and then it became Jason Tatum. So I
Yeah.
think that they hope that Gordon Hayward could be that player, but he is not.
Or I mean, there's Kyrie too. So
Yeah, and Kyrie's not that player either right now. So
yeah, at least not right now. If you're hoping anybody's gonna become that guy, it's gonna be Gordon Hayward. Not Gordon, Kyrie. Kyrie. But yeah. Um. Oh, did I? Okay. Um. So yeah, I think mainly the problem with OKC has just kind of been their shooting. Like they gotta do something about that. It just has not gone down for them. They were 7 of 28 from three in this game, so only putting up 28 and making seven of them a little bit worrisome. And you have guys like Paul George who going like 2 of 10 from three this game. It's not a great look. So anyway, maybe giving Alex Abrines some more playing time could help that, but the defensive worries for him are there, so we can't be so sure about that. Anyway, I think that's enough about OKC and Boston. Let's move on and talk about the Spurs and Lakers. So, okay, so we're gonna talk about. So there was actually 2 times that the Spurs played the Lakers last week. There was Saturday in San Antonio, and then it was Monday, right? Monday in LA. So we're gonna talk about the Monday outing in LA. Maybe we'll sprinkle a couple of points from the San Antonio game in there as well. But final score for that game was 143 to 142. Took overtime, but it was a very a lot of offense happened in that game. And even in the first quarter, the Spurs were up 40 to 26. And I don't know, Meng, did you watch this game?
only the end of it.
Okay. What are some takeaways that you have just in general, like
Well,
as
I want to start
someone
off
from looking at it from Lakers side?
with the start of the game. So they got destroyed early on, and
Right.
this was sort of reminiscent of last season, where the Lakers would just like give up a 20-point first quarter lead, and then they'd come back a little, but then they let it go in the fourth quarter because they didn't have a closer. This time it was sort of the opposite. Like I mean, in terms of fourth quarter, they did have a closer. They did have LeBron James this time, so they were able to hold on to their comeback. But yeah, like this was just another game of them having a terrible defense, and this story continued in their next matchup where they gave up too many offensive rebounds.
Oh yeah, the rebounding has been a problem against the Spurs in particular.
Although
Um,
this game they had more offensive rebounds than the Spurs, they had 13, but um, their shooting was okay. Their
yeah,
free throws were about the same.
Yeah, well,
Um,
mainly what I noticed is that the Lakers are kind of giving the Spurs like a lot of good looks. Like the Lakers' defenses did not seem like ready to defend the way the Spurs were attacking in the first quarter. Like everybody, I mean, but to be fair, everybody on the Spurs just like could not miss in the first quarter. Even in like the first half a little bit, like the Spurs like just could not miss. I don't know what got into them, but they just couldn't. And there are definitely some defensive problems. Like I said, when I watch these games, I'm still more encouraged from what I see from the Lakers than anything else. More encouraged than worried in general. But, some of the defensive problems, like giving up like 15 of 28 from three, you can't do that at home against a team like the Spurs, who's not even a great three-point shooting team. So that's going to be a little bit worrisome when you face teams like the Warriors or maybe even the Bucks, since they're shooting a
yeah,
lot more threes now.
their 3 point closeouts have been bad
Yeah, like
to start the season.
you're like, for example, you remember that possession against we're in overtime where Rudy Gay hit that three at the top of the key after
Hmm.
DeMar DeRozan passed it to him and LeBron just like did not close out on him. Or there's like,
Yeah,
yeah, or for example, Lonzo losing Patty Mills on that last play. But to be fair, that play was pretty much crafted to lose to make Lonzo get lost on that play. So that was kind of
but
more Greg Popovich than Lonzo. Go ahead.
we should also give credit to DeMar DeRozan, who was playing like crazy
Oh
both
yeah,
matchups. Like he had the same stat line as LeBron, and in the next game he just made tough shot after tough shot.
yeah, and he including that last one over Josh Hart, where Josh Hart was just in his face. And like
Yeah,
good stuff to Josh Hart for not biting on the pump fake. The guy's done like LeBron said. Josh Hart has done about as good of a job on LeBron as not excuse me as good of a job on DeMar DeRozan as anyone could ask. And DeMar DeRozan just hitting some tough shots. He hit that one where Josh Hart was right there contesting, and then DeMar just kind of hopped up and hit it. So you
it's
do
just
what you
like
can.
with Kobe, like
It was
you
a
just
very Kobe shot for sure.
yeah, very Kobe shot, fade away in your face. But you if the guy can make that shot, you there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, you just kind of have to live with it sometimes. And yeah, so we talked about what we liked from both teams. So I guess we can talk about what we like from both teams. For the Lakers, I think I like I like Kyle Kuzma in general. Kyle Kuzma was great in that LA matchup. Actually, in both matchups, he was pretty awesome. Dude did a good job. I'm not sure he can guard Rudy Gay. But but when you play Kyle Kuzma, you're aware of the defensive liabilities that he presents. So that's not so bad. And when he's hitting his shots on the other end, he's a very, very useful player, especially next to LeBron. So I think he's done a pretty good job. So I like that. I like Lonzo Ball a lot. He's been balling, no pun intended, for the couple of games that he's played against the Spurs, hitting shots, rebounding, hustling on defense, especially. Guy's been awesome, and he's earned that starting spot for sure now, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, that's game against Denver. Like the run at the end on the defensive end, it was all Lonzo.
Yeah, I remember he
Usually,
was pressuring Jamal Murray for a full court, and then he
yeah,
got that layup. That was really great. Um, uh, from the Spurs, I like DeMar DeRozan. He has been awesome those two games, looking like a mini James Harden. His playmaking has just been absolutely sensational. Like I really think that DeMar could easily average like 7 or more assists this year. I think he definitely average 7 the way he's moving the ball right now. Um, he's been scoring, getting to his spots, playing his game. I also like Bryn Forbes. He's been awesome. Undrafted third-year guard out of Michigan State. Um, Currently averaging like 15 points a game, 46% from three. So that's pretty excellent. He's not talked about much, but he should maybe at least be in the conversation for most improved player. I don't know. Um, So yeah, I like those from the Spurs. The Spurs have been pretty good at executing. I think the defense from the Spurs not so great. Well, by not so great, I mean they literally have the worst defense in the league right now. But they might figure that out. Anyway, any various things from either team you'd like to point out, man?
Um, Nothing much I can like. That's all I can say about the Spurs, and I said enough about the Lakers already.
All right. And what else do we have? Okay, we talked about DeRozan. Um, talked about crunch time, clutch time a little bit. Yeah, okay, let's talk about that. That crunch time and that game in LA was pretty crazy. Um, you had LeBron missing those two free throws, and then you had Rudy Gay hitting that tough three. You had like Bryn Forbes hitting that 1-3. You had and then what? You had in overtime. What else was it? Yeah, it was like LeBron missed two free throws, and then Spurs came in on the other end and hit that crazy play that got that Patty Mills jump shot. Um, let's talk about LeBron a little bit. What have you seen from LeBron so far? It's like either had you worried or what's encouraged you from him. Like just talk about LeBron in particular.
I think it's standard LeBron. I think it's odd to say his stats have been so good, but it's sort of like he's sort of cruising,
Sure.
especially on the defensive end, and he's
Yeah, yeah,
taking
for
much easier
sure on
baskets.
defense, for sure on defense.
So even though his stats are crazy, it's a bit like he hasn't felt the need to go for like 40-point triple doubles yet,
Right.
and his triple doubles have been sort of more relaxed kinds, like that he's not trying to do some superhuman effort to save the team.
Yeah, like I saw some pretty superhuman efforts in Cleveland last year that were like
Yeah,
kind of amazing to see.
like I don't know, maybe there's gonna be a game coming soon where he's gonna go for like 50-point triple doubles to save the team, like he did last year. But
Might need one against the Raptors when they play.
what are they playing?
Um, uh,
Their
I
next
think it's
game.
Sunday, is it?
Hmm. Well, Kobe had crazy games against the Raptors, so this might just be their, welcome to Staples Center, Toronto sort
Maybe.
of game. And yeah, LeBron had crazy games against the Raptors too, but it's sort of like a tradition to beat down the Raptors with your superstar in LA.
um, but anyway, yeah, I feel like I've seen LeBron miss more layups this season so far than I've seen in like than I saw him miss all of last season. Um, he looks a bit off sometimes. Well, I guess not off is a harsh way to put it, but I don't know. He looks like not quite the same guy from even last year. I'm not sure, and he's still playing like 36 minutes a game, so his minutes are still up there. Like one thing I find especially interesting is his three-point shooting. It's not been good. Uh, for comparison, right now he's shooting 20% from three on 5.8 attempts a game. Last season, for his first 40 games, he shot 38.9% from three on five attempts a game. So I'm worried about it. I don't know what's happened with LeBron shooting. Uh, do you think there's anything to see there with LeBron shooting? Do you think it's
I
just
think he's
gonna?
just in a slump, and
That could be it. That could definitely be it.
he has progressively gotten better. He went from making no 3 points to making two.
Yeah.
Like in the last game, he made 2 out of 3, so 2 out of 6. So I guess he'll do better
Yeah, they
as
play
the
they
season
play the
goes on.
Raptors on Sunday. I was right. So yeah.
And they have the Wolves tonight and the Blazers
On Saturday.
on Saturday. Yeah.
That's a tough back to back right there.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. I think yeah, so LeBron could just be in the shooting slump. That's a very good possibility. Um I don't know, maybe just spacing is affecting him a little bit, but I'm not sure. What I find amazing is that teams might have to start stepping up on Lonzo a little bit now.
Yeah,
He would have come. That's coming a long way for him.
his free throw shooting made a big leap.
Oh yeah, that too. I didn't even talk about that. His free throw shooting has also been very good this season so far, too. So the progression he's made has been pretty incredible. And looks like they're finally gonna go with starting Lonzo and Josh Hart. I think it's gonna be even better for LeBron, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Josh Hart just fits better, and KCP hasn't been playing well yet. Um, yeah, I mean, it was already like since last season, Josh Hart was better than KCP, and it looks like there were a lot of worries of the politics of starting or giving minutes to an NBA team. You give the person who's a veteran who has a higher salary, you give them more minutes. But I guess that this team is not gonna look into that.
Yeah, yeah. Even though they're paying like KCP 16 million, but they're just gonna go ahead and start Josh Hart 'cause he's just better at this point. So, yeah. Anything else to say about the Lakers or Spurs, man?
No.
All right. Yeah, I think that about does it for me too. So, I think we covered about everything we want to cover. Thank you for tuning into the pod, and catch you guys in about a week or so for to catch up on some games. I'm sure we'll talk about the Lakers and the Raptors. I don't think that one's being nationally televised somehow. I don't know how it's not, but we're gonna definitely talk about that one, and we'll probably talk about like a few more along the way as well.
Yeah, the national media hates the Toronto Raptors. Even when they play the Lakers, they cannot get a national game.
Yeah, that's weird because it's in LA, so I'm really surprised that it's not a nationally televised game. Anyway, all right. So hope you guys enjoy. We'll see you next time.